Hi guys, I'm back with a second video on bomb making. And what I wanted to do now was create an explosion. So once the spark time has dissipated, that is, once the spark is done, it's time for the bomb to explode. And I want this explosion to be controlled by the bomb controller. We hadn't made one yet, but let's make one now. Add component, new script, the bomb controller. And you can see that I am attaching this guy to the red bomb game object. Okay? The red bomb game object is fancy. We're happy with them. And so here we go, bomb controller. When the bomb gets created, that's when the sparks should be created. So that brings up the first concept. Game object space the sparks prefab. Want this public, and we want to link it up, and we want to do it right. So here you see it's ready for the prefab. I'm going to put this prefab in the My Assets folder. It is mine now. I kind of customized it from the standard assets version. And so now when I click red bomb right here, I can just drag this right in. And by default, the red bomb shouldn't have any sparks. Okay? He's just got a bomb and a fuse. We will create those sparks on the fly. Here's how we're going to do it. Right on the, so first we've dragged it, it's configured, right? Red bomb, sparks, okay. There is the fuse game object. We should say game object space fuse. Actually, I'm going to deal with the transform because I'm going to be navigating the parent-child relationship. So look at this, red bomb, fuse is a child of that. How do we do this? We say fuse equals transform, lowercase t, that's the red bomb's transform, dot find child called fuse. Okay, so that is the fuse transform. We've got it. Maybe I'll even call it fuse transform. Fuse transform. Cool. So what do we do with this fuse transform? Well, first things first, we create some sparks, right? Game object space sparks equals instantiate sparks prefab. I'm going to put him anywhere I want. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to give him an initial rotation of just, standard 0, 0, 0. None of that matters. But what does matter is that I immediately set the parent-child relationship, and then I can do lots of other stuff. So that's our game object. We've got the spark controller. I'm going to call this just geo. I'm going to call the spark controller sparks. And it's equal to the game object dot get component spark controller. Sparks, sparks, sparks. And now I can do this parent-child relationship. You actually didn't need to get the spark controller to do this, but I want to do it in that order. Sparks.transform.parent is supposed to be the fuse transform. And then sparks.transform.local position is supposed to be equal to 0, 1, 0, otherwise known as vector3.up. Okay, so that should put the sparks in the right place. It should build them right at the beginning. We look here, assuming everything compiles. Oh, well, yeah, my favorite mistake as game object when we instantiate that guy. Sparks, okay, let's see. If I hit play, sparks should come into existence at the top of the fuse, and they should go all the way down the bottom. Great. One thing I'm missing already is my sparks have no sound. So under my assets, first of all, let's clean this up. Everything that I make, I want to put under my assets. So I'm going to take my bomb controller, put it under my assets, spark controller, put it under my assets, and then my sparks had no sound. Add component. I'd like them to sound. That's going to be very important to the game. So I'm going to create an audio source. And we did some importing earlier. We want fire. So now while they are lit, the sparks should make a fire sound. That's, it's kind of not the perfect fire sound, but whatever. It'll tell the player later that there's a bomb nearby and to freak out and run away. So that's good. Sweet. Our red bomb creates sparks, and the sparks slide to the bottom. Not sure why that happened. Okay. Mono develop happy again. Next up, what happens when they reach the bottom? What do we want to do? We want to blow stuff up. We want to blow stuff up. And how long do we want before the explosion happens? All this is actually going to be controlled by a separate public variable, public float fuse timer, which is very similar to the one we created in the Spark controller, but I kind of want to control it from up here. We'll set to 5. And once we have the Sparks controller, I mean, we can override that original thing that we had basically just created for debugging. Sparks dot, what did we call it? You're killing me. Spark time. Spark time is going to be equal to the fuse timer. Fine. That's all configured. The point here is that we can now talk about making stuff blow up. We're going to create our own method called explode. Any bomb should have an explode method. And we're going to have to instantiate the explosion prefab. Here comes another prefab, public game object explosion prefab. Right, let's link that up. Explosion prefab. We imported that under standard assets, under particles, under prefabs. There's the explosion prefab. So you see the red bomb has the explosion prefab right there. I'm going to put this right here. There it is. Explosion. And I can already tell you I'm going to modify this explosion prefab. So I'm going to drag it to my assets where I can do stuff to it more easily. So for example, my explosion, I'm going to want some sound, audio source. I'm going to choose none other than fiery explosion. And we've got the prefab all set. So here we go. Explode. Explode is simply instantiate again the explosion prefab. And we want to do it this time at the location of the bomb with absolutely no rotations at all. Okay. Do we want to do anything with that explosion? Not really. However, it is time to destroy myself, right? Explosion destroys the bomb. And when do we want the explosion to happen? Well, we want it to be invoked when the fuse timer has expired. If I've done that right, I'm going to be pretty happy with the fact that we have an explosion with sound and everything after 5 seconds after the bomb starts. It's a thing of beauty. It's a thing of beauty. Let's see, how long is this video so far? 8 minutes. Yeah, in the next video, we'll talk about how to get the player to throw the bomb. So we'll just stop that here.